preserved my youth. Not only did it capture my goals, it told me the truth.
Conversate for a few, cause it a few.
I let them know we missing you. The love is unconditional.
Wave your hands, what's the land if we family?
We got a world premiere right here, now get lost.
So off we go, let the trumpets blow. And hold on, because the driver of the mission is a pro.
What's up, everybody? You are now in tune to another episode of Conversate With Us. Remember, Conversate stands for communicate, converse, and relate. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Conversate With Us, and go to our YouTube channel, click that bell icon so you can be notified of upcoming episodes. Make sure you hit subscribe and make sure you tell everybody about the show. So June is Black Music History Month, and we can't let the month go away without bringing in a music expert straight out of NYC, Mr. Ernie Jackson. I'm calling future Dr. Ernie Jackson. Ernie, come on in, man.
Hey, y'all. Here I is.
We got him. How you doing, man?
I'm doing quite all right. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, you are a professor at Queensboro Community College in NYC, correct?
That's correct.
So is that in Queens, I'm assuming?
It's in Bayside, New York, depending on how much your property taxes cost. So it's either Bayside or it's Oakland Gardens. Okay, so there you go.
Okay, so are you considered a New Yorker? I guess that's the question, because I saw something online. They're like, if you're not from these, like if you're from Long Island, you're not really a New Yorker.
I am born and bred. I'm born in Manhattan, raised in Brooklyn, transplanted to Staten Island. So New York through and through. What
part of Brooklyn?
Oh boy, here we go. Williamsburg, when it was not cool and expensive.
Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. I got people from Brooklyn. They from Flatbush, so Flatbush, and then where my other people from? I forget where they're from, but Flatbush in the house.
So I bet they miss Lord's Bakery just as much as I do. We can talk to you.
I'll make sure I ask them, man. So listen, June, Black Music History Month. I'm really big into music, and I know obviously you are, because you're a professor, right? You teach music, you teach production. And, with June being Black Music History Month, I just want to talk about the impact of music and how it's changed and have a discussion about that. So, in the U.S., a lot of our culture as Black Americans comes from our music. It started, with jazz. You had rock, hip hop, disco, all the different genres. You as an expert, somebody who teaches music, how has music impacted the culture of Black America over the years, and where does it stand now today, in your opinion?
We start everything, and we never get credit for starting it.
Right.
And I mean everything.
Yeah.
I watched the documentary, the Ken Burns thing on jazz a while ago. It was very thorough, it was interesting, but in the very beginning, they talk about a white gentleman who proclaims he invented jazz. And if you watch it, it's kind of interesting. But something came up, I think like in the past week, where it said, like literally we started all the styles you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Who started it? That's what it was. I was in a class this week, and they were talking about Big Mama Thornton, okay? And how, she did Hound Dog, but apparently Elvis made it correct. It's like, have you seen Big Mama Thornton? Have you seen Buddy Guy playing guitar for her? Yeah, so Big Mama Thornton starts off, sings Hound Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Has Buddy Guy playing guitar, killing it.
Yeah.
Is so well received overseas. But who do Americans love? They love Elvis. Why?
They white.
White.
Yeah.
It's what we do. All this, what I was saying before, all the styles that you mentioned, You said jazz, blues, rock, whatever. We start.
And you know what's crazy? People got on me because I call myself a music aficionado, right? And we talked about disco about a week and a half ago. And I was like, you know what? It would be hard for us to put together a compilation of music of just disco. And boy, did I learn that I was wrong. The contribution of Black Americans to the disco genre. And I saw you roll your eyes to it, right? Because, you know, it may not be one of your favorite genres. But when I saw about our contributions to that, see, to me, when you look at disco, because I was uneducated about it, my mind goes straight to the Bee Gees, right? And
Why?
just because, you know, growing up in the Midwest, and I was born
Okay.
in 77, right? So I didn't really have a lot of exposure to disco. So the amount of exposure that I did have to disco came from TV. So what were they putting on TV? It was mainly the Bee Gees. They were the face of disco. And boy, was I glad that I was wrong, because I got exposed to so much good music that was done by brothers and sisters throughout the years. So to, you know, drive home your point, it's always been that people have always tried to capitalize on our culture, but then on the back end try to say we don't have any culture as Black Americans.
It's horrible. You know, I was watching some movie and somebody was doing a cover of MacArthur Park. The Donna Summers thing, you know. And I just remember there was only two women for me, music. Like Donna and Whitney were my two, you know, Donna Summer. And when I think about disco, because 77, 76, 70, I was 11.
Mhm.
And it's New York and everybody's dancing. Okay, everybody's dancing. Van McCoy, okay, invented the hustle. Okay, get this brother. And so, you know, disco was king, which is why they tried to kill disco in that damn baseball field. You know, the disco sucks record burning thing. It's because it was us. It wasn't because the music was bad. It was because it was us.
Yeah.
You see? But what happened out of that? What did we get out of that? We got house music.
So let me
Okay.
ask you. I'm sure, because you said, you know, born in Manhattan, raised in Brooklyn, time in Staten Island. There's a debate. Did house music start in New York or did it start in
Started in New York, man. That's it.
Chicago? Why? So why they always say that is in Chicago? Was it Frankie Knuckles went to Chicago?
Because Frankie went to Chicago. Where did he start? He started with Larry here.
Yeah.
He may have exploded in Chicago. Do you know I teach a class on the history of house music? It drives me
I know
nuts.
that. I did not know that.
Yeah, my department chair said, "Okay, you want to teach a music history class?" I said, "Sure." Well, you can teach whatever you want. I said, "Bet." So in musicology, which is what I study, the history of something in music, that's musicology. If something is 50 years or older, it becomes a research topic. So when I got the opportunity to do a music history class, I said, "Can I do it on house music, the history of house music?" And he said, "Sure." And, you know, we're talking 1975, you know? So, so they tried to get rid of disco. They burned all those records in that baseball field, not knowing that house music was already going strong. You know, so you go from disco to house, and even to this day, you cannot deny house music. You can't.
Yeah. So let's go to a lot of this comes from how they commercialize our music, right? How they can make money off of it, the different record labels. You look at how they would take some of our music and Pat Boone, right? What was it, the boy group that they made to try to compete with the Jacksons? I forget their name.
The Osmonds.
The Osmonds. So, the Osmonds, they try to say, okay, what could be more commercially successful? And these labels, they control our music. So a lot of the stuff that comes out from our culture is part of our culture, but then it becomes something commercial from them. And with that comes a bit of gatekeeping, so that, even somebody that's, on the corner that can flow from hip hop, or that's in a small lounge that can play that jazz or do all those different things, they may be somebody who can really, really express music in a way that pushes the art form forward. But if the record label doesn't sign on to it, we'll never hear it. And what comes with that is gatekeeping, right? And with the advent of technology and streaming, YouTube, all the different streaming platforms, that gatekeeping has went away. But do you think it has watered down the music that we hear today?
The gatekeeping part, people, it's so much, Marvin. It's so much. There's a movie you can't even find anymore. It's called American Hot Wax. Have you ever heard of it?
Never heard of it.
You can't even find it. You know who's in it? Is Jay Leno's in it. Very young Jay Leno.
Okay.
It's about Alan Freed. Do you know that name?
I've heard the name, but go ahead and educate us.
No, so Alan Freed was probably the worst. He was a DJ. He promoted rock and roll. And yes, he was down with the black artists, but he put his name on every record that they sold. Didn't write a lick. Okay? He's credited with the term rock and roll. Okay. So that's one thing. Using our talents to benefit them. And I watched this movie, and this is like in the 70s. I remember watching this movie all the time because it had music in it.
Mm-hmm.
But fast forward, you can't have anything nice. You can't have anything nice. But what the internet is showing you is that people are talented. Okay? Why do we see more people of, let's just say non-black, non-people of color do our music? Is because a lot of it is their resistance to their culture. A lot of it is. Okay? Again, look at house music. I'm going to go back to house music. What came out of house music? I'm putting you on a quiz. What came out of house music?
What came out of house music? I don't know.
EDM.
See, I don't listen to EDM. That's not my thing.
But you see what happened? House music is smooth. It's a two-step. That's it.
Yep.
But EDM is like, right? Yeah. So, but that's Europe. Somebody left the States, went to Europe, and did a thing. Add a different sauce to it. So now you have EDM. My house music DJs here don't spin that stuff. They don't spin it. I cannot find one house music station on Sirius XFM.
You know what? Yeah, I'm a subscriber to that channel. And now that I think about it, there is no house music channel.
You get 2 hours of Crystal Waters on something on Utopia talking about women of dance music.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And then you get like the legends of Studio 54. So what does that say? So you got to go to YouTube, like you mentioned, YouTube, and find people spinning classic, garage, warehouse. You got to find that. So when you talk about co-opting, look at rock and roll. When you think of rock and roll, who do you think of first as a black performer? Who do you think of first?
So when I think about rock and roll, just because I do have knowledge of this, I think about Chuck Berry.
Mm-hmm.
I think about Little Richard. When you fast forward into more of the heavy metal rock and roll, I would say Bad Brains,
Mhm,
Living Color. That's what I would
mhm.
think.
And I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you real good. Okay. But you know who you don't think of? And
Cool.
it's a double whammy. You don't ever think of Sister Rosetta Sharp. Rosetta Tharpe, rather.
I never heard it. See, you educate me, man. That's why I got future Dr.
Oh,
Ernie Jackson on
sister.
here because I've
Ah,
never heard of this sister. Come on, don't judge me now.
ah, ah. Look at me. Look at me. Look at I'm saying I think it's Tharpe. I'm not sure. I gotta look at it. But Sister Rosetta with the coat, with the white Gibson SG3 pickup playing it. Sister Rosetta, you know?
Sister Rosetta Tharpe,
Yeah.
Tharpe. Yep.
Oh, that's the beginning. She's holding court. She's a sister. She is a black woman with an electric guitar rolling. You know, Chuck, see, the reason I'm passionate about that because, like I said, it's the double whammy. A black woman,
Right.
you see?
Right.
And so that to me is the rock and roll.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, the Chuck Berry and all that, of course, that's what we see, that's what we're allowed to see. If you look at videos of Sister Rosetta playing and leading on guitar, it's incredible.
Yeah.
How could you not be inspired by that as a young person? Yeah.
Right. So listen, you gave me a lot of homework to do so far. And it's crazy when we go back to it, which leads into my next question, because we're gonna get deep with this.
Let's go.
When you talk about white people, because we keep it black on this show, when you talk about white people
Mhm.
using black music as resistance, you look at Miley Cyrus, you look at Kid Rock, you look at what's the other little boy? I even say this dude, and I can't stand him, Justin Timberlake. They start off
Mhm.
being imitating our music, right? Because they know that Black people drive the culture. We drive the culture for I'm talking about Black Americans. We drive the culture for the whole globe. And once they're able to gain notoriety off of the culture and the art that we have created, then you see them going back to country western. Then you see them going back to, okay, I'm going back to my roots, right? Because they built their name off of our backs. And, for me, there are a few artists who I believe respect the culture. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I do feel that Eminem shows some respect to the hip hop culture and to the people that brought hip hop to be what it is today. But I feel when we talk about gatekeepers, we need to gatekeep who performs our music and the shine that we get to them as well. I saw the OJs last year, and Eddie Levert, he's 80 something years old. He had a bout with long COVID. So he can't do the moves like they used to do, right? So when Eddie comes out, he'll walk out and he sits down and he performs and he sings, right? And he says, listen, y'all, I can't do my moves like I used to. But if you want to see my moves, just go out to Vegas and look at Bruno Mars and Soul Sonic because they stole all my shit, right? So it's the sanitized version it's the game plan that they've always put forward. And I think that we need to do a better job at gatekeeping who we allow to have access to our music. Because you see, when Beyonce put out country and western, they didn't want to give her no awards. They was like, oh, no, 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 no. She's not country. She's not, even though we created country and western too, right? She's not
Absolutely.
she's not country and western. So they had to try to find when that little boy Lil Nas X made that country western song, he had to go add Billy Ray Cyrus to it for them to allow him to be eligible for an award. So we have to do the same thing that they do to us.
It's odd. It's odd. I'm not a Beyonce person, And I'm going to say it out loud. I don't want to get found out by the Bajancy. That's my favorite.
It's the Beehive, not it's the Beehive.
The Bajancy. Okay. And if you've never seen it, look it up. It's the funniest skit ever.
Okay.
But Beyonce defended herself, say, look, I'm from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That was her defense. I'm from Texas. What are you talking about? Okay. Charlie Pride. Like, come on, man.
Listen, you know? I'm gonna shout out my family member, my uncle Robert Bug. I call him Uncle Sonny. He could sing just like Charlie Pride. So, you know, Black people in country, it's always been a thing.
It's always been a thing. You should have seen when I went to Nashville in 1995 for the first time. I was asked to play on All-Star Guitar Night. And I went down there like, okay, they're going to try to do this to me, whatever. Oddly enough, I was embraced because, number one, not a flex, I was actually very good at playing guitar, okay? And I could hang with them. And these two white gentlemen, as country as they want to be, two of the heavy hitters in fingerstyle guitar, they said to me, man, we were waiting to see what you could do, and you are now our brother. Just like that. Mm. So sometimes, and I didn't do more than them because they were the top act, but what they saw was me not looking for a handout, just playing.
Yeah.
And Chet Atkins, if you know the name, when he saw me, he was in the audience that night. He saw me. And he was like, hey, what you got there, son? And I had a special guitar. And I got the picture on my wall over here. And I'm saying, like, music can do that, but it's a borderline with us, right? Is it because I'm that good that I was able to hang? Or was I way too good, better than they expected?
Yeah.
So that was something I always struggled with. But they said, nah, man, you're our brother. And you know what happened after that, Marvin?
What's that?
I would go to subsequent like shows with a friend of mine, like conventions, and people would come up to me, these other white gentlemen, hey, you're Ernie Jackson, right? Hey, do you got any CDs or something like that? And my friend who was white, he would be like, why do these people do this with you? You don't even play. You don't even have to. I said, dude, I was validated. Mm-hmm. I don't got to play no more. They know if Buster and Tom told them Ernie Jackson's the shit, that's it.
So listen, you know? I want to get into your background so people know, because I think this is worthwhile of knowing. Let's start from the beginning. How did you get into music? You said, you know, you play the guitar. I see all the production equipment behind you, but how did you get into music? How did it become something that you study and you now teach?
You want to, okay, can I start off with the joke part and then the story?
You can do whatever you want, brother.
I think the mailman was funky.
Okay, the mailman was funky.
My father, I'm 6'5". My father's 5'8", light skin. My mother is like 5'11". She's a scientist. My father was a player. I'm a college professor, musician. I don't know what happened, but all I know is that my grandparents raised me, and I just loved music for some reason. But I was always attracted to guitar, and I could never explain it. If I just saw a guitar, I just look at it. I'm like, you know, what's that? And but it was in high school at 15 when I decided to do guitar. And then I never looked back. And then 3 years later, I got a scholarship to college to play classical guitar. And so that was unusual. And then I finished my program a year and a half early on classical guitar. Okay. So, you know, and then after that, it was Career City. And then once I started being featured in the guitar magazines, then my career exploded, you know, and that's that.
Now, one of the things that I always look at, my music was important to me. I played the drums. Mm-hmm. So I played the drums. I could play a full set. Yeah, I was in marching band, but I was a football player, so there was only so far I can go with marching band, right? Because I had to be on the field blocking for the quarterback, not carrying the bass drum. And it always pissed me off because I felt like I got stereotyped because I'm 6'3", big offensive lineman. I wanted to play the quads. I wanted to play snare because, those were cool. They got the solos and all that, but I had to carry the big bass. Well, why I got to carry the big bass? Well, you're the only one that could carry it. Now, looking back on it, there was notoriety with that because everybody wants some glory, right? They want to be a glory hound at some time. But I was the one that started the beat because I was the bass. I kept it going. And it was important to me because I feel like music is such an expression and it helps open up your mind to so many other things in the world. Like when you travel the world and you learn different types of music and when you learn how to express yourself, not just with your words, but with, your hands or, with an instrument or with your mouth, with your vocals. I feel like everybody should have some exposure to that because of what it does to your mind and how you see the world differently. And we saw where kids these days, the music is not as prevalent in school as when I was coming up. And I feel like that's had a significant impact on the type of music that we see now because now you can create all the sounds with a computer, with technology. And technology isn't a bad thing, but I think some of the soul of what we have as Black people starts to get removed. So, as a music professor, are you seeing the impact of music being taken away from the schools?
It's horrible. It's horrible. There's a high school out here in Staten Island who got rid of their marching band in favor of music production.
Mm.
And I'm sitting there going, that's a mistake. And this is what I teach for a living. I said, that's a mistake. Marvin, it goes beyond us playing music. Marching band, you can look at the studies. It's the camaraderie.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm that kid who may feel a certain way, but I'm in the marching band and I've got friends. And we're all the same on this field.
My oldest daughter played in the marching band, and she went to the whitest of the white high schools, right? So we ain't talking about HBCU, theatrical performances or anything, right? But she will always say that that's one of the best time of her life because of the trips and the camaraderie that came from performing in the marching band.
I can't say that about the jazz band at a high school or college. It's not the same.
Mhm.
It is not the same because you're all getting yelled at the same way. Okay. Right. And so, but yeah, they want to take the arts out of everything. They're trying to make everybody but you can't. If it's in you, it's in you. I've been seeing a lot of Instagram videos, people kind of making fun of the people who said they wouldn't have a career in music. So what do you do? Oh, I got my bachelor's in choir, vocal, got my master's degree in vocal, whatever, teach this. I do this. Making fun of those naysayers. And I find it interesting that there are people like this, that have doubts on us. My grandparents didn't have any doubts. They was like, okay, you like the arts? Okay. I went to acting school. Then I went to music school. They was like, okay, that's it. No resistance. But when I'm at my school, I have a friend in the admissions department. So when he's giving a tour, he knows to come to my classroom with the parents and prospective students. And we're in New York City, right? So the kids come in, they go, wow, look at that equipment, look at all this great stuff. The parents are like, they don't want to hear it, right?
Yeah.
But the one thing I always say to the New York City parent is, I say that killer word in quotes, right? Union. And in New York City, when you start talking union anything, parents are like, oh, okay. What are you talking about? And I'm talking about stagehand. I'm talking about audio engineering on Broadway. Any of those things. Because parents aren't thinking that when you talk about music. They're thinking, oh, you're gonna put me on The Voice. You're gonna put me on America. Now, my son and daughter don't want to do that. No, we're talking about the people who make those shows happen.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, because we're a technical program, we're a STEM program.
Yeah.
Right. And
So music is considered STEM.
music production is.
Okay. Okay.
So in most colleges, there's two sides. There's music performance and then music production. And so we're considered a trade, and that's how we can get funding. They can't get funding, and we get funding.
Because I know a young lady. I know a young lady that's in college right now down in Texas. Well, I live in Texas, but she's down in Houston. And she was part of the theater troupe in her high school, but she was behind the scenes with the stagehands. I don't know if that's a technical word for it, but she was in the stage production, right, to help make the shows go. She got a scholarship to go to college to do that at the university. And that's what she's doing right now, to go to college. Now, when I was coming up, my parents would be like, no. You're going to college to find some way to make money, not do stage production. But that shows the limitations of what they thought about music. Because most people think you can only make money off music if you are a producer or if you can sing your heart out. But and we're not even talking about the engineers. I look at the equipment behind you and I'm looking like, because I'm a gadget guy. There's so many ways that you can get into music. And I think this is another way that they try to keep us out of that art and the control that we could have over the art that we produce.
It's an education thing. It's an education thing. Not realizing that the reason you can even see American Idol or The Voice is because somebody's behind the scenes making it happen.
Yeah.
Okay. And in New York, that's all union stuff. Okay. Do you know? I don't know if and you could look this up since you're looking up stuff, history. I want to say the year is 2000 and then 2008. Look up stagehand strike, New York City. I forgot which years it was. Shut down the city. Yeah. Tourist dollars.
Yeah, because people come in from Broadway.
Yeah. The stagehands. Okay? So how could any union that shuts down anything is a problem? People always think of the transit, strike. Okay, yeah, people can't get to work. But when you're talking about tourist dollars coming into the city, people coming in, spring break, whatever, summer, I want to see a Broadway show or play, and these people are on strike, money's gone.
Yeah.
So when parents, that's what I try to explain to parents. It's not just the music part. It's a lot more than that.
So let me ask you this. And you being an expert in musicology, future Dr. Ernie, because you're about to be a PhD. I have this theory. And the theory for me, because I love R&B, and more specifically, I love 90s R&B, because that was my era. My co-host on Conversate After Dark, Tay, she talked about how our generation, meaning, mid 40s, mid 50s, how, high school, we were really on the 90s R&B, because that was our era. And she said she used to look at her dad and wonder why he wouldn't listen to anything but Motown. He wouldn't listen to anything but Motown, because that was his era. That's when he came up. And then here we are, and we're stuck on 90s R&B. And you saw that soul continue into the 2000s, but R&B has somewhat become watered down. And this is my theory. My theory is it's because we don't go to church like we used to. Because a lot of those artists that we grew up listening to that brought the soul to records, they learned it in the church. And because we're not doing that as much, now we see the R&B that's put out now is somewhat watered down. Is my theory correct? Or do you think it's something else that's watering down our music?
Depends on what kind of church you're talking about. Okay.
I grew up Baptist. That's a good point. I grew up Baptist. So, you know, I listen, just to give you the background, I grew up where the choir would walk in and march in. It was 15 minutes for them to march to the choir stand. Then they would do 2 selections. Then they would do 2 more before the pastor actually spoke. So there's a lot of soul in my church. So that's what I'm talking about.
No, I got you. What I'm getting at, because as soon as you said church, I'm thinking about Isaac. I'm thinking Isaac Hayes. Okay, Black Moses. Okay, I can't say it any other way. I have to go Black Moses. Okay, yeah. And soul is soul. I'm a displaced Catholic. Okay, so I grew up in the Catholic Church. But still music, secular, whatever. But it is interesting because what R&B is singing about today is not love, really. It's about sex. It's not about love. It's not about good treatment. But then I think about Al Green's songs. I'm so tired of being alone. For the good times, I'm thinking about Barry White. I don't know much church. I don't know. I think if you're talking about the soloist, yeah. But as the group, that's a tough one.
Okay.
It's a great, I'm going to be that person now. It's a great thesis topic, for sure. It's a fantastic topic because I think the soloist is better suited for that argument as opposed to a group. I don't see much new edition in church.
Understood. But I wouldn't consider New Edition, other than a couple of songs that they put out, to be soulful music, though. It's more.
I got you.
I would borderline pop. It's R&B, but it's more up tempo, close to pop. When I think about soul, that's why I put in the frame of reference 90s R&B, that love music. That's why I put that into the conversation to set
But again, a solo artist or a group?
Solo artist. And some because if you even look at Jodeci, you look at, I would say, H-Town. Boys II Men was more, commercial, whatever, but they still had R&B. When I look at, the way the vocalists performed the music, that came from the church. So I just want to see if you agree with that or not.
No, I think the argument can be made for the solo artist, like you were saying, because you could hear it in the solo artist.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as in the groups, but maybe more so in the solo artist.
So I'm gonna pick your brain, man, just because there's not a lot of times I get to talk to an actual music expert. And you brought up Isaac Hayes, and I just got back from Memphis. I was in Memphis 2 weeks ago. And I always tell people that if you want to go to a museum that discusses music, in my opinion, the Stax Museum is the best curated museum for Black music. So I compare it to, you have the Stax Museum, you have Motown in Detroit, and then if you want to put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, and then you also have, I would put Paisley Park up there as well, right? Prince's old home. To me, I say Stax Museum, Paisley Park, Motown, and then Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Do you agree with that order, or is it something that I'm missing?
You're missing.
Okay, I knew you were going to say I was missing something, but that's why we got you on.
It may not be you, but I don't know if it's still there. Did you go to the Rock and Soul Museum?
Never heard of it.
It's in Memphis.
Now, I've only been to Stax and when you're in Memphis.
Okay, so what happened in 2002, I had a former student move to Memphis, and she knew the lay of the land. So I was in Nashville with some buddies. So we went to the Grand Ole Opry. We did that. The Grand Ole Opry. And then we drove an hour and a half to Memphis, and we did the whole Memphis music tour.
Okay.
And it started with Al Green's church at the time. On a Sunday. We got there on a Sunday, Al Green's church. Then we did Stax. And that was my awakening. I was like, incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
To hear all those outtakes of Shaft blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then, because we were there, we had to go to Graceland. Okay, we just had to see the other side.
Now, see that I've been to Memphis several times. I have family there. I think I have driven by just so I could see it because it's pink, right? So I could just say I saw Graceland, but there was no way in hell that I was going to give them my money to go inside.
We went to Graceland because we had to be fair because it was music, right? So we did it. But the one thing I didn't know about was the Rock and Soul Museum.
Okay.
It's because we went to the Rock and Soul Museum, I kid you not, is when I first learned about Watt Stax.
Okay.
It was because
you're talking about the big concert that was in Watt. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
they had a big display.
Yeah.
And I was like, I never heard of this. This was amazing to me. So it's the Rock and Soul Museum. So
is it right next to the Stax Museum?
No, not from what this was like 20 plus years ago.
Okay.
So I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But do I agree with you? Like the first one is the Stax Records Museum? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why? Because if you know about the Stax Museum is important because if you're not like my age, growing up in the 70s, seeing that 45 with that finger snap logo, you don't really understand Stax when you go there and you see Hot Buttered Soul, okay? And you see the plaque with all the records that were sampled because of Stax, okay? And let's not forget, come on, man. How do you not just love that Cadillac with the plush carpet and the TV?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And again, if somebody were to do their research paper on Isaac Hayes, do you understand how different he was? You've got a bald brother in Afro time. Okay? That's one. A supposedly illiterate brother. When we're all trying to, do our thing and buck the system. But you couldn't read. But you couldn't tell. And then you got a brother winning an Oscar for music. Okay? The significance of him in Memphis is just incredible to me. And that's why when I went there, I was overwhelmed. I literally was overwhelmed. And then I went to Sun Records. Okay? So where they supposedly, discovered Elvis. But there's another part of Sun Records that nobody tells you about, and I can understand why. Because that's where Ike Turner was. And then first started hearing distorted guitar, Sun Records, okay? And then I ended the tour with the Civil Rights Museum.
Yeah.
Tour. When it comes to me, Memphis is a much hipper place in the States musically than like as important as Nashville is. Because that was a route that was like a plane route from like Chicago to Memphis.
Right.
That was a thing.
Yep.
Okay. And so if you look at the music that came out of Memphis as a whole, nobody's really talking about that. They talk about Nashville, they talk about New York, they talk about Los Angeles, but they don't really focus on the significance of Memphis, even when it comes to technology.
Talk about the technology.
Tom Dowd, the music of Tom Dowd, Atlantic Records. He invented the what we call the linear fader. You see what a mixing console, when we move the faders,
Mhm.
He invented that. That's out of Memphis, man, because all the faders everything was a knob. You just turned a knob. So that's significant. Tom Dowd, Dowd, is a white gentleman, did music, but what happened, he got drafted and then he went to Columbia University, right? And while he was there, he had to work on the atom bomb. It's a funny story. And then when he got out of the service and he went to teach, he says, "You guys are teaching physics wrong." You know how gangster you got to be to tell somebody, "Now look, I just worked on the atomic bomb, and what you guys are teaching is wrong." Okay. And so then he's significant in the Aretha Franklin thing, the whole thing, Atlantic Records. And so what I'm saying is Memphis is different.
For sure.
It's different musically. It's just a different hang. And I agree with you on the Elvis thing. I just had to see it for myself so that I could talk about it as a musicologist.
Yeah. As a musicologist, I can understand you wanting to do that.
Yeah.
So you talked a lot about the art. I could tell the artistry of music really matters to you. So you know about the artistry, you know about the technology that goes with it, that makes it happen. Are we getting away from the artistry because of technology and because of the commercialization of our music? Because I look at music just like I look at like basketball and football. We are the product, but somebody else is in control of the distribution. So in my mind, I think, why do we need them? They need us.
You don't.
They need us. So if you had your way, how will we get back to the point where the artistry mattered more than what's commercial and what can sell records? Well, not even sell records anymore, right? The downloads and the streams, or what can spin on the radio. How do we get back to the artistry?
But I saw a thing. I was watching a video, and a guy was talking about, why do people go to music school anymore? And then all the comments, "Hey, I didn't go to music school. I play and I gig every weekend and stuff like that. Anything I needed to learn musically, I could just watch on YouTube." Oh my gosh. That's worse than when people say, when they blame parents for letting the Cartoon Network be their babysitter.
Mhm.
Okay? Right? You cannot substitute one-on-one learning in person. If you take guitar lessons from me, I have to be able to touch your hand and adjust your hand. You can't 2D that. Okay? I feel, however, technology can be useful because Lord knows, I don't know how you feel, but Lord knows if your band is playing at 10 o'clock at night, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
But if you stream it, I will pay you $10 to access the stream. I will support you. 10 o'clock at night? Are you nuts? Man.
You telling on yourself with your age right there, right?
I'm not going out.
Listen, if it's that late, or if I have to struggle to find parking, I'm not going.
Tomorrow night, I'm going to support somebody who I do support. I only support one person from she said, "I'm going on at 7. And I said, bet. I'll go at 7. I'll be out of there by 8:30 though.
Yeah.
Because that's like me leaving school, okay? The technology is good, but my thing is, do we need a label today? We don't. But are we going to patronize and support somebody?
I think the new label is the distribution platforms, though. Like when I look at the content that I put out with my podcast, right? I have 3 different podcasts. And I look at the people that I have on, the guests that I have on, the things that we talk about. Yes, there's people who have invested more heavily into the equipment that they use, into the stage, the studios that they use, right? But if you pay the providers to, hey, listen, I'm going to put out this reel of a clip to promote my show, but it's only going to show to a select few people. And if I pay a certain amount of money, then my friends will be able to see it. All of my friends will be able to see it. If I pay more, then it expands its reach. So the access to be able to reach the masses, in theory, should be easier, but these platforms have still put a roadblock on to be able to make sure that they make their money as well. And I look at a lot of music podcasts, and a lot of them break down the business behind the music. And you look at, okay, here's your advance. And then it's like, okay, you get an advance. And most people say your advance is the only one that you're going to see off of your record, because they have royalties, they have mechanical royalties. There's all different type of things where you have to recoup the advance to come out. And the way they do the accounting, unless you're able to pay a forensic accountant to be able to look at it and find out, okay, how are you guys coming up with this math, and why hasn't this person recouped the advance yet to where they're making money? You're not going to get anything.
Reminds me of that clip of that woman not realizing how much she didn't pay for her car. Yeah. Right, that famous clip. I paid all this money. You only paid $5,000. Okay, clueless because she don't read. There is still in music contract today a record breakage average. You like on delivery, we expect that we're going to lose, I don't know, 1,000 records. So we got to take that out of your budget. We got to recoup what we think we're going to lose. That's still in there.
And they're not even selling records like that anymore.
It's still in there. A lot of people don't get that. Okay. And again, I watched an incredible documentary on like an R&B rap group and how they use their Spotify analytics to see where their music is most popular, and that's where they went to tour. They didn't just sit around. And they did the same thing when they went to Europe. That's where the technology is smart. And finally, I went to an ASCAP meeting. You know what ASCAP is? The music licensing agency. It was a while ago. Had a panel, famous people, in there. Guy stood up and asked a question. He said, hey, look, my group sold 40,000 units. So they were talking about CDs at the time. And you guys still won't put us on. What does it take for you guys? What do we have to do to get you guys to put us on? And the gentleman on the panel said it to this day. I'll never forget it. It says, if you sold 40,000 units, you don't need us.
Very true.
It stayed with me. If you sold 40,000 units, you don't need us. Never get it. And he's right. He was right. Depends on what you're trying to roll. Are you trying to get in advance so you can get a car? Are you trying to get in advance so you can buy more gear? Or are you just trying to put out music? So sometimes the artist, what does the artist want?
Yeah.
They're still hung up on some studio romance.
I think some people just want to put it out for the art, and then some people want to put it out for the fame and the notoriety that goes along with it. Because oftentimes you see, obviously I came up in hip hop, right? So it's the rappers who say, listen, I didn't see anything after my advance. I didn't get anything from music. And it's the guys who are able to, the guys or women that are able to look at, okay, the music is the lost leader. But if I'm able to build a following, like you said, and look at the analytics and see who loves my music, where's my music loved the most, and I can go there and I know that from those 300 people in that town that they're going to pay $30 to come to my show and they're going to buy my t-shirts, they're going to buy my other merchandise, then I can actually make a living. But then we saw the labels come up with the 360 deals where they even try to get a piece of that money as well. So really, when you start looking at the record label deals, they really were high interest loans. They were this bad business deals, right? And
Horrible.
we're talking about Black Music History Month, and we look at our contributions and where we stand today. And I don't think that music is going away. I look at the music that my kids listen to, and a lot of it just ain't for me. But I also remember when I was listening to hip hop, my parents was like, "Oh, they just talking. What are you listening to?" They didn't understand the artistry that went into it, right? But we could talk about it for hours. So I'm gonna ask you this: my favorite R&B artist, everybody who knows me knows, is Mary J. Blige. I could listen to Mary J. Blige every single day, and it hits me like it was the first time that I heard Mary J. Blige come out, on videos. So my question to you as a musicologist, is there an artist that hits you that way? An artist that no matter when you listen to them, it's like the first time?
Slave.
Really?
Man, listen. Wait, oh, I just laughed because I think I'm 14, 1979. I'm not bothering anybody. I'm just sitting in my house and Just a Touch of Love comes on. Marvin, I went and got an index card to make sure I write down who the hell is this and what is this. It was too much. I'm 14. Remember I told you I really started getting into guitar at 15. I got an index card to write down the name of the group and the song. When I hear that song today, it'll stop me in my tracks. Because, yeah, I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. That was the first record that I personally bought. All in All was the first one, okay? But Slave, Just a Touch, Watching You, too much.
And you know what's crazy, man? What I miss about music, like I said, I'm not a musicologist. I just try to act like one on the internet. What I miss the most about music is the album liners. And, when he went from my dad's 45s and his records to, I remember the Lakeside Fantastic. I think that there was a record, another song was Fantastic Voyage. I think the actual album was either called Lakeside or it was called Fantastic Voyage. But when you open it up, it was a map, like an Indiana Jones map where you could go to like different songs or whatever. And I remember like listening to Mtume, You, Me, and He, and like just reading, just because we didn't have access to Cartoon Network, so you just had to find some way to entertain yourself as a kid. So I would just read the album liners, and as I grew older, and I would buy music, I would buy tapes, I would buy the CDs, and then I would look at it. Who's playing bass on this song? Who's playing lead guitar? Who's playing rhythm? Right? Who produced this? And I would just see the names, and I would just it would send me on different things. Okay, they produced this, and what else have they produced? Right? And you can't really get that now because everything's just you just on Spotify and just play, and they just give you like, oh, a little bit about the artist, and it's a paragraph. But what about the people that helped make that song happen? And don't you miss that? You just jogged that memory out of me when talking about getting a note card, because I remember listening to Troop, and they did their remake of the Jacksons, All I Do Is Think of You. And I remember writing the lyrics down and saying, like, when I go to school, I'm gonna find a young girl that I think is cute, and I'm gonna recite this to her, right? She's gonna be my girlfriend.
I'm with you. I mean, no, I'm telling you, Marvin, I just remember how that song hit me. I can't tell you. I'm just sitting in the apartment I lived in. Bow, 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 bow. I was like, what the hell? And too much. In grad school and in Connecticut in 1991, man, talk about a girl. I was in love with this girl. And you know what song made me think it's going to happen? It's going to happen. You know what song it was? It was Your Body Can't Lie to Me.
Okay. All right.
And I had to have this Jamaican brother say, "Can you explain to me what Shabba Ranks is saying? Because I don't understand what he's saying."
Yeah, man. All right, last question.
You know?
Because I said that was the last one. But you're a guitarist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Top 3 lead guitarists.
The top 3, I still go with Rosetta.
Okay.
Without fail. You have to do Hendrix without fail. And you have to understand the significance of Ray Parker Jr.
See, I didn't see that coming. Now, I slept on Ray Parker. I slept on Ray Parker Jr. because, again, and you're gonna shame me because we talked about disco earlier on, and I said I just associated disco with the Bee Gees, and you were like, "Why?" As a kid, when I look at Ray Parker Jr., you know where I'm going, Ghostbusters.
Wow.
And I'm thinking like, oh, he's a one-hit wonder. He made this song, Ghostbusters, right? But then when I look back on it, I said, wait a minute. Ray Parker Jr. was producing for New Edition. He was a bad man. But I never associated him as a guitarist. See, I thought you would have went with like Ernie Isley.
No. Ray Parker Jr., it's your night to get down. And Marvin, this is the worst part about me. If you and I were hanging at like one of my music conventions and I ran into like a hero, I start singing their songs. It's horrible. Like when I meet them.
Tad bit embarrassing, but you know what? It's okay though. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so bad. And I remember when I met him, and I was like, Mr. Parker. And I was like, it's your night to get down to myself. No, but Jack and Jill, all that stuff, a significant brother that we don't talk about enough because he himself is understated, right? He doesn't need the glory, but he's significant. You got to remember the sister, Rosetta. You understand Hendrix is a given. But Ray Parker, I'm talking about for me, those are the 3 heavy hitters for me.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I probably could talk to you for a couple of hours because you've been educating me as a musicologist. And I'm going to call you future Dr. Ernie Jackson because you're real close. And the next time I have you on the show, you're going to be Dr. Ernie Jackson, right? The musicologist. And we're going to talk about music, and I just love picking your brain. I know people hate that phrase, picking your brain, but the knowledge that you drop. So now I realize when I look at this show, I'm going to look up Sister Rosetta Tharpe. I got to get deeper into the catalog for Ray Parker Jr. Right, and I'm sure there's some other stuff that I just can't remember right now that you dropped on us right now. But so, hey, real quick. Is New York still on a high from the Knicks winning the championship?
Of course they are, because what else we got to talk about? What else we got to talk? What else we got? Then everything else stinks, right? It's summer, it's hot. Nobody got money, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so let's keep talking about the Knicks. Full disclosure, I'm not a basketball person anymore. But I'm not a fair weather fan either. I'm happy they won, but I wasn't watching the games. And we talk about technology. I realized I didn't have to watch. I'll just wait till somebody talks about it, and I'll know what's going on.
That's
you
true.
know.
You
But
know what? And we didn't even really get into it. And before I let you go, okay,
yeah,
because you got all the equipment back there, and every time I see the picture of like your guitars and all your music equipment, I have an uncle that played the bass. And if you look right there, you see this little cheap keyboard. I caught myself trying to teach myself how to play the piano using YouTube. And like you said, didn't really work, right? My uncle played bass, and I've been begging him for years. Can I have one of your bass guitars? So I felt like at almost 50, learning how to play bass would be easier than learning how to play, the regular guitar. Maybe that's just in my mind. I don't know. But I went on a tangent. I see all your production equipment. Top 3 producers.
top 3 producers.
I'm gonna say Quincy's probably going to be in one of those positions.
Well, Quincy is all that matters.
Okay.
Next, no, let me stop. No, because do you understand? That's going to be somebody's next dissertation, I'm pretty sure. Because everything came through him and after him. Do you understand? Like Frank Sinatra asking Quincy to run his band. Okay, that's it right there. And so everything came to Quincy, through him, and then afterwards. Okay? All the production techniques, the styles. If there was a number 2, it's my bro Nile Rodgers. Okay.
Okay. Going back to the disco, right? Going back to disco, right?
What? Soup for one. Okay. The duo, right? And then I gotta think. I gotta think.
It's your list. There's no right or wrong. It's your list. But you came with the two hitters though.
No, you can't deny Quincy, and you can't deny Nile. It's just I will say though, you gotta forgive me. I just took a women in music class. I took a class.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sylvia Robinson, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You got to acknowledge, man.
Well, was she a producer, or was she more so like an EP, somebody to put the right people in the right places?
We have to remember the significant role of the producer was the idea person. Okay? It was not the hands-on person like they have today. Oh, I produced that track. No, the producer was the idea man, idea person. The engineer was the hands-on, the controls. When I think of Sylvia Robinson, she had that vision. She made that happen. Quincy told Michael, this is how we're going to do it. Okay? Nile and Bernard did it. They had the vision. There's a quote that Nile said, we just happened to be lucky that disco was happening. If country and western were happening, we would have done that. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. So those are my 3. Quincy, Nile, and the vision of Sylvia Robinson. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Then I'm gonna put number 4, Isaac Hayes, since we talked about Stax Museum. I'll put him in there as number 4.
Do me a solid today.
Okay.
Sit with your eyes closed and just do Walk On By with the Bar-Kays full 12-minute length version.
Okay. I'll do it. All right, man. We could talk forever, but I'm gonna have you back.
I need to come visit you. I need to take a trip and come visit you and sit. I'll meet you in Memphis and we'll go get barbecue.
Well, I'm from the KC area, so I don't really fool with Memphis barbecue. You know what I'm saying? We're barbecue styles where I'm from. But what I will do is come to NYC so I can be like a little kid looking at all your studio equipment and all the guitars that you got. I mean, we could talk forever, but listen, and we'll make that happen. I'll get to NYC so we can hang out there. But listen, Future Dr. Ernie Jackson, thank you for coming on to talk about music. This is Black Music History Month, the month of June. You know how we do on Conversate. We talk about everything Black, and Conversate, for you educated Negroes, stands for communicate, converse, and relate. Go to YouTube, click that bell icon so you can be notified of upcoming episodes. Subscribe on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you tell a friend about the show. We'll watch you next time. Peace.
Peace and blessings.